Feels like I haven't said this in ages, but we just got 5 brand new screenshots from Hytale, including our first look at the Slothians. So let's break them down, since there was a lot of news happening right now, and I need to catch up on a lot, but I didn't want to leave these out, so I'm getting these out of the way first. If you want to keep up with all the new Hytale news, since I know it's pretty crazy right now, make sure to subscribe and turn notifications on, that way you don't miss an upload. Let's get into the first screenshot. Which, first off, we have a screenshot in Zone 4 with a skeleton that the devs called the Burn Skeleton as a work in progress name. They are in a Zone 4 level armor, which is a flame burning on the top of the helmet. The little info that we got on this screenshot says that they use the depth of field effect to capture this picture, and the Burn Skeleton is meant to be a challenging / higher tier skeleton that the players will fight. I'm guessing it will be some sort of like mini boss or like kind of like a tank type of enemy. But taking a closer look at the armor, there is some kind of symbol on their chest, but I can't make out any similarities with the symbols that we've already seen. So if you recognize something and I missed it, make a comment, because I want to make sure to get all the details in these screenshots. The other thing I noticed is the armor has what looks like a cape on it, since there's the little fabric bits on the shoulders under the shoulder pads, and on the left side of their body you can see like, well, parts of the cape. So I do still like that certain armor sets will have stuff like capes. The skeleton is also wielding a dual-ended glaive with fire coming off of it, which seems to be like a consistent theme with the Zone 4 tier of armor and weapons. All of them seem to have like some sort of flames or fire coming off of them. The area around the skeleton seems to be one of those ruined towns in the devastated lands. There isn't too many interesting things here though. We do see a blue lantern slightly cut off, but it looks like the same style that we've seen in previous screenshots of Zone 4, like this one. We also see the bottom half of a statue, which, looking through past images, the closest thing I could find is this one from another Zone 4 screenshot, but I don't think they're the same kind of statue, they just don't match up exactly. Moving on to our next screenshot, it has a very drastic shift in the environment, showcasing a Kweebec scout standing guard in a tree watchtower in Zone 3, as seen by the trees in the background. The watchtower has some like wooden slabs / platforms which appear to be aging and getting mossier. We also see the same thing with what appears to be a seat in the background, but this could just be a different type of wood, not like that wood has some kind of aging effect. It would be cool if it does though. And since we already knew that Kweebecs would be found in multiple zones, it doesn't come too much of a surprise from what we can see in the background. There's probably a small Kweebec camp at the base of the tree, since we can see a little rope hanging from some smaller logs. Other than that, there isn't too much in this screenshot that I noticed, but let's move on to our next screenshot, which is my favorite one. Next up, we have this screenshot set in Zone 3, showcasing a mob the devs are temporarily calling the Shadow Knight, which is again a work in progress name. We were given a little bit of info on this screenshot. First off, it was once again taken using depth of field, like that screenshot in the devastated lands. And the Shadow Knight does not currently have any spawn or purpose, but they do plan to make it a late game boss fight eventually. Simon just wanted to show it off because it looked cool. Which, to be fair, it does. It's probably one of my favorite designs we've seen so far. Taking a closer look at the Shadow Knight, its body looks to be made of like a blue fire, like maybe like a cursed void fire or something. But it does wear wooden armor reinforced by some metal. By rough estimate, I'd probably say it's like twice the size of a player, give or take a little bit, probably. Instead of hands, it has 2 swords made up of floating blades, which makes sense if the Shadow Knight is tied to the Void element. It further confirms that Void is some sort of gravity-related magic. We also see 6 more of these swords floating behind the Knight, which I'm guessing will be used in its late game boss fight as some sort of like ranged attack. And since this is going to be a late game boss fight, I wonder if this will serve as one of the end game bosses for Zone 3. Kind of like how I believe the Ice Dragon is meant to be, or at least was meant to be. Who knows how it is now. For the rest of the image, the background doesn't have anything too interesting. There's a couple glowing plants and ice shards, but nothing new. Everything else we've really seen before. Now we got our second to last screenshot, this time being in the snowy plains of Zone 3 instead of an ice cave. The first thing we see are 3 frozen skeletons outside of some sort of encampment or village. 2 of the skeletons are definitely mages due to the purple robes and, you know, the fact that they're holding spellbooks. But we haven't actually seen this type of spellbook before from what I've looked into. But if I'm guessing, it's probably some sort of icicle attack, seeing as they are in Zone 3. The third skeleton in the image is definitely some sort of warrior type, since it's wielding a battle axe and it does have more armor. At first I thought he was also wearing some sort of backpack, but now I'm not too sure. That could just be some type of metal plate armor. But it would kind of be cool to see skeletons wear accessories like backpacks. Now the other major part of this image is the town in the background. This could be one of 2 things, either an Outlander or a skeleton camp. Personally, I'm leaning more towards Outlander due to the style of the buildings based on what we've seen in the past, and the banners being similar to the symbol of evil in Orbis, which is that kind of like diamond. although there is a dot in the middle, so it could be like a void eye type symbol. Now for what's actually happening in the image, there's one of two things I think is happening. It could either be the skeletons were summoned by the Outlanders to patrol and act as a sort of guard around the camp, patrolling it to defend against the player, or maybe like Kweebecs. The other thing I was thinking is it could be some sort of scouting party for a faction battle of the skeletons versus Outlanders. But again, that's just my ideas of what could be going on. We know the game doesn't have those systems set up in place yet for faction battles. Now, of course, as I'm editing this, I get a notification from Simon's Twitter showcasing our first look at the Slothians, so of course I gotta include that now. Kind of going at this just first look on my end. So obviously we have the Slothian, which looks amazing, by the way. Simon mentions in the comments that this is only one of the models for the Slothian. The rest are currently broken. But it looks like it's wearing some sort of like bamboo armor, I want to say. Yeah, it looks like bamboo armor. It's got a couple training dummies next to it with some arrows sticking out of them. We got bamboo lanterns, which look amazing. It looks like the right of the Slothian, there's some pots or something made out of bamboo. And then in the background, what we can see is like some sort of structure built into the tree. I'm not sure if it's a house, but it looks really cool regardless. Besides from that, we have the pink tree biome in the background of Zone 4 that we've seen quite a few times now. So it looks like there's a bamboo bench behind the Slothian and to the far right of the image. Both of them look cool. I really like the design of the bamboo furniture. And aside from that, there isn't too much else I can see that's new about this image, but it still all looks really cool. And yeah, that's all we have for today. Bit of a shorter video, but I have several more coming soon with all of the new info we're getting lately, and I cannot wait to see more. It's also just taking a bit to get back into the groove of making these videos since I've been out of it for several years at this point, aside from when I do Thankmas. Speaking of, that's happening next month. Be sure to look out for news with that. Aside from that, if you enjoyed, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss an upload, and I will see you within the next few days.